The mysterious encounter. In the vastness of space, an alien fleet moved with purpose. Their ships, sleek and powerful, glimmered like dark stars against the backdrop of the cosmos. The fleet of Xelar had set its sights on Earth, a small blue planet that had come to the attention of its leaders. They had heard whispers of humans, tales that spoke of their strength and resilience, but that Xelar believed those stories to be exaggerated. They thought it would be an easy conquest, just another planet to add to their empire. As the fleet approached, the Xelar commander Korath stood at the helm of his flagship, the dreadnought Zithar. He looked out at the view screen, which displayed Earth in all its blue and green glory. "Prepare for the invasion," he ordered his crew, a confident smirk on his face. He had defeated many worlds, and this one would be no different. Meanwhile, on Earth, a group of scientists watched the stars with a mixture of awe and fear. They had detected the alien ships approaching and realized they were not just passing by. The news spread quickly, igniting panic in the hearts of many. Cities braced for the worst as governments scrambled to form a plan. The fate of humanity hung in the balance. Among the chaos, there was one figure who stood apart from the rest: Baba Yaga. Known as a myth among many, Baba Yaga was an enigma. Some believed she was a witch, others thought she was a secret guardian of Earth. Few had seen her and lived to tell the tale, which only added to her mystique. She was both feared and respected, a shadow that lurked in the corners of human history. In a hidden location deep within a forest, Baba Yaga was aware of the impending threat. Her hut, a structure built on chicken legs, swayed slightly as she stood in front of her cauldron, stirring a bubbling concoction. The air crackled with energy, and her eyes glinted with determination. She could feel the alien fleet drawing closer, their intentions clear. They sought to conquer, but they would find that humans were not so easily subdued. With a flick of her wrist, she sent out a warning across the stars. The message traveled faster than light, aimed at the Xelar fleet. "Turn back, invaders. This world is protected." The words echoed through the vastness of space, but Korath dismissed them as mere nonsense. "Ignore the warning. Earth will be ours," he declared, rallying his crew. The aliens were filled with bravado, underestimating the power of human ingenuity and the legends that surrounded Baba Yaga. As the alien ships entered Earth's atmosphere, the atmosphere shimmered with the force of their descent. The people below stared up in terror, watching the sky fill with strange vessels. They could see the lights and hear the low hum of engines. Panic spread like wildfire, and the streets grew empty as people ran to their homes, locking doors and closing windows. Suddenly, the sky erupted in chaos. The alien fleet began firing their weapons, aiming for key cities. Explosions rocked the ground, sending shockwaves through the air. However, instead of terror, there was something else brewing. Baba Yaga felt the anger of the planet resonate within her. She had protected Earth for centuries, and she would not allow it to fall now. From her hidden abode, she summoned the spirits of the forest and the winds of the sky. "Let them feel the strength of this world," she whispered. A mighty wind arose, swirling around her hut, carrying her essence to every corner of Earth. With each incantation, she strengthened the planet's defenses, tapping into ancient powers that had long been forgotten. Back in the heart of the alien fleet, chaos ensued. The first attacks on Earth had seemed easy, but now their ships were malfunctioning. Weapons misfired, and systems began to crash. The crew of the dreadnought Zithar scrambled to regain control, their confidence wavering. "What is happening?" Korath shouted, confusion replacing his earlier bravado. "Something is interfering with our systems, Commander," one of his officers reported, panic evident in his voice. They had never encountered anything like this before, and it was beginning to unnerve them. Baba Yaga watched from her forest hideaway, a smile creeping onto her lips. She could feel the energy shift. The aliens were experiencing the effects of her ancient magic, their arrogance turning to fear. The whispers of the winds, and the songs of the forest filled her with strength. She knew she had to act quickly before the invaders regrouped. "Let them know the truth of Earth," she declared. With a wave of her hand, she sent a powerful shockwave toward the alien fleet. The energy surged through the air like a tidal wave, causing panic and confusion among the Sci-Fi soldiers. They had thought they could conquer this planet easily, but they had underestimated the force they were up against. As the dreadnought Zithar began to lose altitude, Korath realized they were in serious trouble. "Fall back," he commanded, but it was too late. The once confident fleet was now a disarray of ships struggling to maintain control. They had entered a battle they could not win, facing an enemy they did not understand. As the aliens retreated, Korath vowed to find the source of this mysterious power. "We will not be defeated by a myth," he growled, determination hardening his resolve. Meanwhile, Baba Yaga knew that this was just the beginning. The aliens would return, and when they did, she would be ready. In the depths of the forest, she began her preparations. With a fierce spirit and a heart full of courage, Baba Yaga understood that she was not just a legend. She was humanity's last line of defense. The world had awakened to the threat, and so too had she. The battle for Earth had begun, and it would take all of her power to protect her home. First strike. The tension in the air was palpable as the Sci-Fi fleet regrouped. Commander Korath stood on the bridge of the dreadnought Zithar, his face a mask of determination and fury. The earlier confidence that had fueled the fleet was gone, replaced by a chilling realization. Earth was not the easy target they had expected. "Prepare for a second attack," Korath commanded, his voice steady despite the chaos that surrounded him. His officers hesitated, glancing at one another, unsure of how to proceed. They had suffered severe losses in the first assault, and many were still reeling from the mysterious forces that had thwarted their advanced technology. "Commander, we cannot risk another engagement without understanding what we are up against." One officer spoke up, his tone cautious. "This Baba Yaga could be a more significant threat than we anticipated." Korath's patience was wearing thin. "Do you doubt our strength? We are the fleet of Xylar. We do not back down from a challenge." He slammed his fist on the control panel, causing the lights to flicker. "Send out a message. Tell our warriors to prepare for ground deployment. We will find this Baba Yaga and eliminate her once and for all." Meanwhile, on Earth, the news of the alien attack had spread like wildfire. The destruction in the major cities left many in shock, but the story of Baba Yaga quickly turned into a source of hope. Humans began to rally, gathering together to support one another. They understood they had to fight back, and the idea of having a guardian in Baba Yaga provided them with strength. In a hidden meeting place, a group of civilians and soldiers came together to discuss their next move. They had seen the chaos of the first attack and were determined not to allow the aliens to take their planet without a fight. "We need to prepare for what's coming," one of the soldiers stated, gripping his weapon tightly. "If the aliens are coming for us again, we have to be ready." As they spoke, a sudden gust of wind blew through the room, and the candles flickered. They all turned to see an imposing figure standing in the doorway. It was Baba Yaga. She was both beautiful and terrifying, her long hair flowing like shadows, her presence commanding instant respect. "Do not fear, my children," she said, her voice a soothing melody amidst the tension. "I am here to guide you." The room fell silent as they listened to her words. The Xylar are more than just a fleet. They are driven by their own arrogance. They believe they can take what does not belong to them, but we will show them the strength of humanity. The people felt a rush of energy. Baba Yaga continued, "I have felt their power, and I have seen their weaknesses. They think they can destroy us, but they underestimate our will to survive." "Baba, what do you need us to do?" one brave soul asked, stepping forward. "We want to fight." "Your courage is commendable," she replied, her eyes gleaming with ancient wisdom. "But it will take more than just weapons. We will use the land, the forests, and the very essence of Earth to our advantage." The group listened intently as Baba Yaga laid out her plan. They would harness the energy of the earth to create protective barriers, drawing strength from the ground beneath their feet. They would set traps for the aliens and use their knowledge of the terrain to outsmart their adversaries. As she spoke, a sense of determination filled the air. They were no longer just civilians. They were warriors prepared to defend their home. Each person felt a connection to the land and to each other. Together, they would rise against the threat looming over them. Back in the Sci-Fi fleet, Korath had grown impatient. The time for talk was over. He gathered his commanders and prepared for the next phase of their invasion. "We will deploy ground forces to locate and eliminate this witch," he declared. "Our scouts will sweep the area, and once we find her, we will make an example of her for all to see." The Sci-Fi soldiers, though shaken, felt a surge of pride at their commander's words. They knew the risks, but they were loyal to their leader. "We will show Earth the futility of resistance," one soldier shouted, pumping his fist in the air. As the alien ground forces began to prepare for deployment, Korath knew they had to strike quickly. The humans had rallied under the guidance of Baba Yaga, and he could feel the tide beginning to turn against them. "Make sure our weaponry is at the ready," he ordered. "This time, we will not be caught off guard." The fleet launched small scout ships down to the planet's surface, scanning for signs of Baba Yaga or her followers. As they landed, the soldiers moved through the forest with caution. Trees towered above them, their leaves rustling ominously in the breeze. The atmosphere felt charged, as if the very earth was alive and aware of their presence. Baba Yaga had anticipated this move. She had set traps throughout the forest, concealed among the trees and bushes. With a flick of her wrist, she summoned the spirits of nature, whispering to them as they prepared to aid her. "Let them feel the wrath of the land they wish to conquer," she commanded. As the alien soldiers advanced, they found themselves caught in her traps. Vines wrapped around their legs, pulling them down into the ground. Others found themselves blinded by bursts of light created by Baba Yaga's magic. The chaos erupted quickly, and the Sci-Fi soldiers began to panic, unsure of what was happening. Korath watched the unfolding disaster from above, his frustration boiling over. "This cannot be happening," he shouted, slamming his fist on the control panel again. "We cannot be defeated by a myth." But the truth was undeniable. The power of Earth, fueled by the spirit of its people and the magic of Baba Yaga, was stronger than the invaders had ever imagined. As the battle began in earnest, the humans fought back fiercely, inspired by the legend they had come to believe in. They were no longer just defending their home. They were fighting for their very existence. The tide of battle had shifted, and it was only the beginning of a struggle that would determine the fate of Earth. Baba Yaga stood at the center of it all, channeling her power and guiding her people. The time for hiding was over. She would show the Sci-Fi that Earth was not to be trifled with. As the battle raged, she knew they were all in this together, and together they would rise against the storm. The clash of forces. The sun hung high in the sky, casting a warm glow over the battleground. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation as the ground forces of the Sci-Fi and the defenders of Earth prepared for a confrontation that would change the course of their histories forever. Baba Yaga stood at the forefront, her presence a beacon of hope for the humans. "Remember your purpose," she called out, her voice echoing through the trees. "We fight not just for survival, but for the future of our children and the generations to come." The humans gathered around her, armed with makeshift weapons and a fierce determination that burned in their hearts. They were a mix of soldiers, civilians, and those who had never held a weapon before, but they all shared one common goal: to protect their home. In contrast, the Sci-Fi forces were disciplined and relentless, their shiny exosuits glinting in the sunlight. Commander Korath surveyed the scene from the command ship hovering above. "Initiate the assault," he shouted, his voice booming through the speakers. "Show them the strength of the Sci-Fi." With a synchronized motion, the alien soldiers charged forward, their advanced weaponry at the ready. Energy blasts lit up the sky as they unleashed their firepower upon the human defenders. The sound of explosions echoed through the air, rattling the trees and shaking the ground beneath them. Baba Yaga raised her hands, summoning the forces of nature to protect her people. "Shield us, spirits of the earth," she cried. The ground trembled as roots and vines erupted from the soil, forming barriers that absorbed the incoming blasts. The humans watched in awe as the very earth came to life, defending them against the onslaught. They felt a surge of courage, inspired by Baba Yaga's magic. "We can do this," one soldier shouted, rallying his comrades. "Fight for our home." As the Xylar soldiers advanced, they found their firepower diminished by the natural defenses. Confusion spread among their ranks, and for the first time, doubt began to creep into their minds. Korath could see the chaos unfolding below him and knew he had to act quickly. "Reinforcements, move in. Flank them from the right," he commanded. But the humans were ready. Under Baba Yaga's guidance, they had prepared ambushes, laying traps throughout the forest. As the Xylar soldiers moved in, they triggered snares hidden in the underbrush, sending them tumbling to the ground. The humans sprang into action, taking advantage of the confusion. They charged forward with their makeshift weapons, shouting battle cries that echoed through the trees. "For Earth," they yelled, united in their cause. Baba Yaga fought alongside them, her powers weaving through the chaos. She conjured winds that swept through the battlefield, knocking back the alien forces. Her laughter rang out, a sound both haunting and exhilarating, invigorating her warriors with newfound strength. "Feel the power of the land," she shouted, unleashing a wave of energy that coursed through the ground, empowering her fighters. The humans felt an electric surge as they fought, their fear replaced by an unwavering resolve. Korath watched in disbelief as his forces faltered. "Retreat," he barked, but it was too late. The humans had found their momentum, pushing forward with the force of a tidal wave. "We must regroup," he shouted, scrambling to maintain control of his fleet. But the humans were relentless. They pressed on, fueled by their belief in victory and the power of their protector, Baba Yaga. The clash of weapons and cries of battle filled the air, creating a symphony of chaos and determination. As the battle raged on, the forest transformed into a war zone, with fallen soldiers on both sides littering the ground. Baba Yaga continued to weave her magic, her figure almost ethereal against the backdrop of destruction. She fought not only to defend her people, but to show the Xylar that Earth would not be taken without a fight. In the heat of the moment, she caught a glimpse of Korath commanding his troops from above. The realization struck her. If she could confront him directly, she might turn the tide of the battle. Summoning all her strength, she lifted her hands and called upon the spirits of the forest to grant her flight. With a powerful surge, she soared into the air, leaving the chaos below her. The humans looked up in awe as their protector ascended, her silhouette framed against the sun. Korath narrowed his eyes, spotting the approaching figure. "What trickery is this?" he muttered under his breath. Baba Yaga landed gracefully on the command ship, her presence commanding. "Korath," she called, her voice echoing with authority. "You have underestimated the heart of humanity. This land is not yours to conquer." The Xylar commander felt a chill run down his spine. "You are a mere myth," he spat, trying to mask his fear with bravado. "You will fall like the others." "Do not mistake my kindness for weakness," she replied, her eyes blazing with intensity. "I will protect this world with everything I have. If you wish to continue this war, you will learn the true meaning of defeat." With a wave of her hand, she summoned the spirits of the forest once more, their energy swirling around her. The ground shook beneath Korath's feet as the ship began to tremble. "Get her off my ship," he roared, panic setting in among his soldiers. They had never encountered anything like her before, and uncertainty began to spread through the ranks. Baba Yaga's laughter filled the air, echoing like thunder. "You came here expecting an easy victory, but you have awoken a force you cannot control. Earth will rise against you." With that declaration, the ship lurched violently, sending Xylar soldiers tumbling. Korath struggled to maintain his footing, realizing too late that the battle was not just a physical clash, but a clash of wills. As the humans below cheered for their protector, the Xylar forces found themselves at a crossroads. They could see that their invasion was faltering, and the fear of failure began to seep into their hearts. Baba Yaga stood tall amidst the chaos, the embodiment of humanity's resolve. She would not let them down. The fight was far from over, but she had ignited a spark in her people that could not be extinguished. The battle continued, and the clash of forces would determine not only the fate of Earth, but the very essence of what it meant to be human. As the dust settled and the energy crackled in the air, one truth remained clear: humanity would fight back, and they would do it together. Secrets unveiled. The battle raged on, echoing through the trees as the defenders of Earth fought valiantly against the Xylar forces. Baba Yaga, now firmly in control of her surroundings, could feel the energy of the land coursing through her veins. With each movement, she sensed the spirits of nature supporting her, ready to aid in any way necessary. As she flew back down to the battlefield, the humans rallied around her, emboldened by her presence. "Stay strong," she shouted, her voice rising above the chaos. "We are the guardians of this world, and together we will triumph." With renewed vigor, the humans pushed forward, utilizing the natural barrier she had created to outmaneuver the alien troops. They fought fiercely, knowing that their survival depended on their unity. But as the day wore on, the Xylar forces began to regroup, and Korath was determined to regain control. From the command ship, he assessed the situation, his frustration mounting. "We cannot let this band of primitives defeat us," he growled, slamming his fist on the console. "Initiate the aerial bombardment. Show them our true power." The Xylar ships above shifted formation, and the skies darkened as they prepared to rain destruction upon the battlefield. Baba Yaga felt a surge of dread. "We must act quickly," she warned her people. "We need to find a way to counter their attack before it's too late." In the midst of the turmoil, a soldier named Liam stepped forward, his face determined. "What if we create a distraction?" he suggested, pointing toward a cluster of trees that surrounded the clearing. "If we can lure some of their forces away, it might give us time to regroup." Baba Yaga nodded, her mind racing. "Yes, but we'll need to be clever. We can use the forest to our advantage." She gathered a small group of volunteers, including Liam, to execute the plan. The team moved swiftly, navigating through the dense foliage. Baba Yaga whispered incantations, calling upon the spirits of the forest to help create illusions of movement among the trees. Shadows danced and flickered, making it appear as though a larger force was advancing from that direction. Meanwhile, the rest of the humans prepared for the inevitable assault. They fortified their positions, readying themselves for the worst. With every second that passed, the tension in the air grew thicker, but they remained steadfast in their resolve. As the Xylar troops shifted their focus toward the perceived threat in the forest, the aerial bombardment commenced. Explosions erupted around them, shaking the ground and sending debris flying. The humans braced themselves, knowing they had to withstand the initial wave of attacks. Just then, Baba Yaga and her team returned, breathless but triumphant. "The Xylar are distracted," she announced, her eyes alight with determination. "Now is our chance." With a fierce battle cry, the humans surged forward, charging into the fray. The Xylar soldiers were caught off guard, scrambling to regain their footing as the defenders struck with all their might. Baba Yaga led the charge, her powers flaring as she summoned the elements to assist her warriors. Wind whipped around them, granting the humans agility and speed. The trees themselves seemed to join the fight, their branches swiping at the enemy as Baba Yaga guided their movements. The once mighty Xylar forces began to falter, their ranks breaking under the pressure of the united humans. But amid the chaos, Korath watched, his expression darkening with anger. "This is unacceptable," he shouted, his voice cutting through the din of battle. We must crush them before they gain any more ground. In desperation, Korath activated the full power of the command ship. Deploy the energy cannon, he commanded. The ship rumbled ominously, the air around it crackling with energy as the massive weapon prepared to fire. Baba Yaga felt a cold shiver run down her spine as she sensed the impending threat. "Everyone, take cover," she shouted, her voice urgent. The humans quickly scrambled for shelter as the cannon charged, a bright light filling the air. At that moment, a brilliant idea struck Baba Yaga. "We need to redirect the energy," she realized. "If we can harness it somehow, we might turn it against them." She gathered her strength, calling upon the spirits of the earth once more. "Join me, spirits of nature. Help us turn this tide." Her voice rose, harmonizing with the earth's energy as she focused on the approaching beam. As the energy cannon fired, a blinding beam shot forth, illuminating the battlefield. Baba Yaga extended her hands, channeling the power of the spirits around her. The energy twisted and swirled, responding to her call. The beam veered off course, colliding with the Scylar command ship instead. The explosion was catastrophic, sending shards of metal and debris flying in all directions. Korath's eyes widened in disbelief as his ship was engulfed in flames. "Retreat," he shouted, panic setting in among his soldiers. The morale of the Scylar was shattered, their forces now in disarray. The humans seized the moment, charging forward with renewed determination. They pressed their advantage, driving the Scylar back further into the forest. Baba Yaga's laughter rang through the air, a sound of triumph and power. "Feel the might of Earth," she proclaimed. As the Scylar forces retreated, the humans celebrated their hard-fought victory. They had stood together against an overwhelming force, and their bravery had turned the tide of battle. But even in their triumph, Baba Yaga knew that the war was far from over. "Gather around," she called, bringing the humans together. "We must prepare for what comes next. This victory is only the beginning, and we must remain vigilant." With their spirits high, the defenders of Earth regrouped, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. They had discovered the strength that came from unity, and together they would protect their home from any threat, no matter how great. Baba Yaga looked at her people, a fierce pride swelling within her. The fight was not just about survival, it was about preserving the essence of humanity and the land they cherished. Together, they would forge a future where Earth would stand strong, defiant against the forces that sought to conquer it. A call to arms. With the Scylar forces retreating, the humans felt a surge of hope wash over them. They had faced a formidable enemy and emerged victorious. But the battle had taken its toll. Baba Yaga stood amidst the rubble, her heart swelling with pride for her people. Yet, she knew that this was merely a temporary respite. The Scylar would not give up so easily. As the dust settled, Baba Yaga gathered her warriors around her. "We cannot rest on our laurels," she declared, her voice steady and commanding. "The Scylar will regroup, and we must be ready for their next attack. We need to prepare ourselves, both mentally and physically." Liam, the soldier who had suggested the distraction strategy, stepped forward. "What do we need to do?" he asked, his expression resolute. "How can we ensure we are ready for whatever comes next?" Baba Yaga considered his words carefully. "First, we need to train. We must hone our skills and learn to work together as a unified force. We've discovered the power of our bond, and we must build on that strength." She turned to the others. "Gather your weapons and prepare to train. We will work together to master our abilities and defend our home." The group nodded, determination etched on their faces. They knew that each moment spent training would be crucial for their survival. As they dispersed to gather supplies and weapons, Baba Yaga felt a renewed sense of purpose. She would lead them into the next phase of their fight. Days passed as the humans trained diligently. Baba Yaga utilized her powers to enhance their skills, teaching them how to harness the elements to their advantage. She showed them how to blend their strengths, creating a formidable team. The forest became their training ground, filled with laughter and camaraderie as they practiced together. However, beneath the surface of their hard work, a sense of unease lingered. The Xylar were regrouping, and Korath was plotting his revenge. Deep in the heart of the Xylar command ship, he paced back and forth, seething with anger. Those humans dare to defy us. He spat, his eyes burning with fury. We will crush them once and for all. Korath summoned his top commanders to devise a new strategy. We will hit them where it hurts, he declared. We know their strengths now, and we will exploit their weaknesses. It's time to unleash our full might. Meanwhile, Baba Yaga and her warriors continued to train. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, she gathered her troops for a meeting. Tonight, we will practice under the stars, she announced. The darkness holds its own challenges, and we must learn to adapt. The humans gathered in a clearing, surrounded by trees that rustled gently in the breeze. Baba Yaga encouraged them to embrace the night, using their other senses to navigate the shadows. They moved silently, practicing stealth and agility, honing their instincts as a unit. Just as they were deep into their training, a sudden roar echoed through the forest. Baba Yaga's heart sank as she recognized the sound of Xylar ships approaching. Everyone, take cover, she shouted, her voice firm. The humans quickly scattered, finding refuge behind trees and bushes. The Xylar ships hovered above the clearing, their lights piercing the night. Korath's voice rang out through a loudspeaker, filled with venomous determination. Humans, your time is over. Surrender now, and we may spare your lives. Baba Yaga felt the tension in the air as her warriors crouched in silence. This was the moment they had prepared for, but the threat loomed larger than ever. She glanced around, meeting the eyes of her comrades, and knew they were ready to fight. No, she shouted back, her voice echoing defiantly. We will never surrender. This is our home, and we will protect it. Korath's response was immediate. Then prepare to face the consequences. The ships unleashed a barrage of energy blasts, illuminating the night sky. Baba Yaga felt the ground shake beneath her as the blasts rained down. Stay low. Move quickly, she instructed her warriors. They darted through the trees, using the natural cover to evade the onslaught. Baba Yaga focused her energy, calling on the spirits of the forest. Help us protect our home, she cried, and the trees responded. Branches extended, creating barriers that absorbed the blasts, while the earth trembled as roots entwined to shield the humans. Now, Baba Yaga commanded, leading her warriors into the fray. They surged forward, determination fueling their every step. The Xylar troops began to descend from their ships, ready to engage in hand-to-hand combat. Liam fought alongside her, his weapon raised high. Let's show them what we're made of, he yelled, charging forward. The humans rallied around Baba Yaga, their courage unwavering in the face of danger. As the battle erupted, Baba Yaga weaved through the chaos, her powers flowing through her like a river. She called upon the elements, summoning gusts of wind to knock back the Xylar soldiers, and using fire to create barriers that deterred their advance. The humans fought with the spirit of their training, their movements synchronized as they defended each other. Baba Yaga felt a sense of pride swell within her. They had become a true team, united against a common enemy. But even as they pushed forward, Korath's fury drove him to retaliate. He fought with a ferocity unmatched, determined to reclaim his honor. Baba Yaga felt the weight of his presence, a dark cloud looming over the battlefield. As the fight raged on, she knew they needed a decisive blow to turn the tide. We need to disrupt their command, she shouted to her warriors. If we can take out Korath, we can break their morale. With a collective nod, the humans rallied together, focused on their goal. They pushed through the ranks of Xylar soldiers, determination etched on their faces as they fought their way toward Korath, who stood at the heart of the battle, a figure of wrath and vengeance. As they advanced, Baba Yaga channeled her energy into a powerful spell, preparing for the final confrontation. The forest came alive around her, ready to support their cause. This would be the moment that defined their struggle, and together they would seize victory from the jaws of defeat. The final confrontation. The battle raged on around Baba Yaga and her warriors. The sounds of clashing weapons and cries of determination filled the air as they fought bravely against the Scylar forces. Baba Yaga could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on her. This was it, the culmination of all their training and preparation. If they were to win, they had to take down Korath. With her heart pounding in her chest, Baba Yaga rallied her warriors. "We must push forward. Together," she shouted, her voice rising above the chaos. The humans, fueled by her passion, surged forward, cutting through the ranks of Scylar soldiers. Korath, standing tall and menacing in the center of the battlefield, caught sight of Baba Yaga. His eyes burned with hatred as he bellowed, "You think you can defeat me, human? You are nothing but an insect to be crushed." Baba Yaga felt a surge of defiance. "We are more than you think. We fight for our home, for each other, and for freedom." With that, she called upon her powers, channeling the energy of the forest around her. The trees creaked and groaned, their branches swaying as they responded to her call. Liam, charging alongside her, shouted, "Let's show them the true strength of humanity." He swung his weapon with precision, taking down an approaching Scylar soldier. The humans pressed on, their movements fueled by their shared resolve. As they fought, Baba Yaga pushed forward, determined to reach Korath. She could see him rallying his troops, commanding them with a voice that dripped with malice. "Regroup. We will crush these pathetic humans. Show no mercy." But Korath's orders fell on deaf ears as the chaos of the battle erupted around them. The Scylar forces were disoriented, their confidence shaken by the humans' relentless assault. Baba Yaga maneuvered through the melee, dodging attacks and striking back at her enemies. Each blow she landed sent a clear message. They would not back down. She felt the energy of the forest flowing through her, empowering her as she moved. Just as she was about to reach Korath, he caught sight of her. With a fierce snarl, he charged forward, his weapon crackling with energy. "You will regret coming here," he roared, swinging his weapon with deadly precision. Baba Yaga dodged, narrowly avoiding his strike. The ground shook beneath them as they faced off, the air thick with tension. "You underestimate us," she shouted, her voice strong and unwavering. "We are united, and we will not fall." With a fierce determination, she unleashed her powers. The ground erupted around them, roots and vines rising to life, ensnaring Korath's feet. He stumbled, caught off guard by her sudden onslaught. "No," he screamed, struggling against the grasp of the forest. The humans saw their chance. They pressed forward, supporting Baba Yaga in their assault. Liam led a group of warriors to flank Korath, drawing his attention away from their leader. "Now's our chance. Take him down," he shouted. Baba Yaga focused all her energy, channeling the strength of the forest into one final attack. "Together," she commanded. The humans formed a circle around her, their energies converging into a single powerful force. As they launched their attack, a brilliant light erupted from Baba Yaga's hands. The energy surged forward, a wave of pure strength aimed directly at Korath. He let out a roar of fury as the light struck him, sending him crashing to the ground. The impact reverberated through the battlefield, and the Scylar forces faltered. Baba Yaga felt the power of her people behind her, a chorus of strength and unity that overwhelmed Korath's dark energy. As the dust settled, Korath struggled to rise, his arrogance shattered. "This cannot be," he gasped, eyes wide with disbelief. The tide had turned, and he knew he was losing. Baba Yaga stepped forward, her voice steady and resolute. "You've underestimated us for too long, Korath. This is our home, and we will protect it at all costs." With that, she summoned the last remnants of her power, channeling it into one final strike. Korath, weakened and desperate, raised his weapon in a futile attempt to defend himself. But it was too late. The force of Baba Yaga's attack enveloped him, and with a blinding flash, he was consumed by the light. As the energy dissipated, silence fell over the battlefield. The Xylar soldiers stared in disbelief at the spot where Korath had stood. Their leader had been defeated, and with that, their resolve crumbled. One by one, they dropped their weapons and retreated into the night. Baba Yaga's warriors erupted in cheers, their spirits soaring with the victory they had fought so hard to achieve. "We did it," Liam exclaimed, his face alight with joy. "We actually did it." Baba Yaga felt a wave of relief wash over her. They had triumphed against the odds, standing together as a united force. She looked around at her comrades, pride swelling in her chest. "This victory belongs to all of us," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "We fought as one, and that is our greatest strength." As the night settled, the humans gathered together, celebrating their hard-won victory. They shared stories, laughter, and tears of joy, knowing that they had forged a bond stronger than any enemy could break. The forest, once a place of danger, now stood as a symbol of their resilience and courage. But even in their triumph, Baba Yaga couldn't shake the feeling that their fight was far from over. The universe was vast, and new challenges awaited them. Yet, as she looked at her warriors, she knew they were ready for whatever lay ahead. With the dawn breaking on the horizon, Baba Yaga felt a renewed sense of purpose. Together, they would face the future, drawing strength from their unity and the bonds they had forged. They were not just a team. They were a family. And no matter what challenges awaited them, they would stand together, ready to protect their home and their people. A new dawn. As the sun began to rise, its warm light spilled over the horizon, casting a golden hue across the battlefield. The echoes of the previous night's chaos faded, replaced by the sounds of nature awakening. Birds chirped in the trees, and the gentle rustle of leaves brought a sense of calm to the area. Baba Yaga stood with her warriors, absorbing the beauty of the new day, feeling a mix of triumph and reflection. The victory against Korath had changed everything. The humans had shown what they were capable of when united, but Baba Yaga knew that the road ahead would not be easy. They had defeated one formidable enemy, but many more threats lurked in the shadows of the galaxy. Her thoughts turned to the future and the challenges they might face together. As the warriors began to regroup, Baba Yaga walked among them, offering words of encouragement and gratitude. "You all fought bravely," she said, her voice steady. "Each of you played a vital role in our victory. Together, we have proven that humanity is a force to be reckoned with." The warriors cheered, their spirits high. Liam approached her, a grin stretching across his face. "What's next for us, Baba Yaga? We've beaten Korath, but I sense that this is only the beginning." Baba Yaga nodded thoughtfully. "You're right, Liam. We must prepare for whatever comes next. Our fight for peace and freedom isn't over. We need to strengthen our defenses and build alliances with other worlds. There are many out there who might seek to challenge us." Just then, a familiar face emerged from the trees, Captain Serafina, the leader of the Galactic Alliance. She approached with a sense of urgency. "Baba Yaga, I heard about your victory. You've made waves across the galaxy. Many are eager to meet you." Baba Yaga felt a sense of pride swell within her. Their efforts had not gone unnoticed. "What do you mean?" she asked, curious. "Other planets want to ally with Earth," Serafina explained, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Your courage has inspired them. They wish to unite against the threats that lurk beyond our borders." Liam stepped forward, his excitement palpable. "This could be the beginning of something great. Imagine what we could accomplish together." Baba Yaga smiled, feeling hope loom in her chest. "Yes, together we can build a coalition that stands strong against any adversary. We must seize this opportunity." Serafina nodded. "I've already arranged for a meeting with representatives from several planets. They will arrive here in a few days. It's crucial that we present ourselves as a united front." The news energized the group. They gathered to discuss strategies, sharing ideas on how to present their case and what they could offer their potential allies. Baba Yaga felt a renewed sense of purpose. This was her chance to extend the strength of humanity beyond Earth and into the stars. Over the next few days, the warriors trained harder than ever, honing their skills and preparing for the arrival of their guests. Baba Yaga ensured that everyone understood the importance of this meeting. It wasn't just about forging alliances, it was about establishing trust and demonstrating their commitment to peace. Finally, the day arrived. Baba Yaga stood on a hill overlooking the valley, where representatives from various planets gathered. They had come from far and wide, each bringing their unique cultures and strengths. As the sun rose high in the sky, Baba Yaga took a deep breath, ready to address the crowd. "Welcome, everyone," she called, her voice echoing through the clearing. "We gather here not just as representatives of our worlds, but as a collective force for change. Our victory against Koreth has shown us the strength we hold when united. Together, we can forge a brighter future." The crowd erupted in applause, and Baba Yaga felt a surge of hope. As the meeting progressed, each representative shared their own stories of struggle and triumph, recounting battles against oppression and injustice. Baba Yaga listened intently, feeling the weight of their experiences and the bond they were forming. After several hours of discussion, the leaders agreed on a mutual defense pact. They would stand together against any threat that dared to challenge them. Baba Yaga felt a sense of accomplishment wash over her. They had taken a monumental step toward creating a united front against the darkness in the galaxy. As the sun began to set, the atmosphere shifted. The once separate worlds were coming together, forging alliances that would echo through history. Baba Yaga looked around at the faces of her new allies, and a smile spread across her face. But as she celebrated, a shadow fell over her heart. She knew that peace was a fragile thing, and that new challenges lay ahead. Yet, surrounded by her comrades, she also understood that they were ready to face whatever came their way. In the days that followed, the warriors continued to train, share knowledge, and strengthen their relationships with their new allies. Baba Yaga felt a sense of belonging, knowing they were part of something greater than themselves. One evening, as they gathered around a fire to share stories and laughter, Baba Yaga looked up at the stars. Each twinkle reminded her of the infinite possibilities that lay before them. They had fought for their freedom, and now they would fight for the freedom of others. "Together, we are unstoppable," she declared, raising her cup in a toast to her friends. "Let us protect what we hold dear and build a future filled with hope." As the fire crackled and laughter filled the air, Baba Yaga felt a deep sense of fulfillment. They were not just warriors, they were a family. And together, they would carve their path through the stars, facing whatever challenges the universe threw at them, united in their quest for peace and justice.